Hi, it's me. Tyrannosaurus rex was one of the largest carnivores to ever live. This dino reached lengths of up to 13 meters, weighed more than 7,000 kilograms, and had one of the strongest bites of all time. The only known predators that may have been larger were C. megalodon and perhaps a few marine dinosaurs. But these were aquatic, which allowed them to grow to enormous sizes thanks to the buoyancy of water. Most other predatory dinosaurs never grew past the length of a bus because evolution just didn't see a need for them to get any bigger. A smaller body meant they could be lighter, faster, and more maneuverable while still being deadly. Take Utah raptor or Allosaurus as examples. They were formidable hunters, but they never reached the size of T-Rex, and yet this dino dominated its environment despite being so big. So how did T-Rex grow so huge, and why weren't other predatory dinosaurs also gigantic? When we think of giant dinosaurs, we typically think of herbivores like Argentinosaurus and sauropods in general. These were like the giraffes of the Mesozoic, growing super tall to reach the tastiest leaves at the top of trees. There was also a benefit to being massive as a plant eater. Being tall made them less vulnerable to ambush predators, especially if they also had a thick protective armor like Ankylosaurus. But why would there be a benefit to being a giant predator? It seems like the opposite would be true. Smaller animals are generally faster and more agile than larger ones. And being agile is a great advantage when you're trying to chase down prey or sneak up on it. This is why many modern predators are relatively small. Think about cats versus dogs. Cats are typically smaller and more agile, which allows them to stalk their prey and strike with speed and precision. Larger dogs can pull off a similar strategy, but not all of them do. And even the most agile big dog breeds are nowhere near as agile as a much smaller cat. Cats also come in much smaller varieties, but no cat, regardless of size, is as agile as a house mouse. In fact, cats hunt mice because they're so nimble, allowing them to slip between objects, jump high and far, and dart into tiny holes. If cats were the size of T-Rex, they'd be terrible hunters, even if they kept their agility. So why did T-Rex sacrifice agility to become gigantic? The answer lies in the way it hunted. T-Rex wasn't an agile hunter. It didn't use stealth or finesse to catch its food. Instead, it was an ambush predator. Like today's crocodiles, T-Rex relied on its sheer size and strength to overpower its victims. So, while being agile is a good thing for a hunter, it wasn't necessary for T-Rex. On top of that, being an ambush predator doesn't require you to be very fast. You only need to be fast enough to chase down prey when it runs away after you reveal yourself. And T-Rex was definitely fast enough to deal with this. Many people mistakenly believe that T-Rex was slow and lumbering because it was too heavy to move quickly, but that's just not true. T-Rex had relatively long legs and a deep chest, both of which indicate a speedy animal. Plus, paleontologists discovered a T-Rex that was taking large strides in pursuit of prey, indicating that it was running full speed. While it wasn't as fast as a cheetah, it was almost certainly faster than most other dinosaurs, including other large carnivores. Not only was T-Rex an incredibly effective ambush predator, but it was also very opportunistic. It would scavenge dead animals whenever possible, even stealing carcasses from other predators. This means T-Rex didn't always need to kill its own food. Sometimes it could simply steal it, reducing the amount of energy it expended each day. And remember, the bigger an animal is, the less energy it needs to survive. For example, a blue whale expends less energy per kilogram of body weight each day than a mouse does. This is why the largest animals on Earth are very slow. They don't need to expend much energy to get enough food. But it was different during the age of dinosaurs. There was more energy available back then. Plants grew much faster and larger, which attracted more and larger herds of plant eaters. This meant there was a lot more meat around for hungry carnivores to feast on, meaning they didn't have to conserve energy as much. So it actually benefited T-Rex to be a huge predator, benefiting both its hunting and its metabolism. But why didn't other predatory dinosaurs also become giants if there was so much food around? The answer is simple. Other predatory dinosaurs were already perfectly adapted to their environments and didn't need to change. Just take a look at birds. They evolved from theropod dinosaurs like Velociraptor. Over millions of years, they became much smaller than their ancestors, but this didn't make them worse hunters. They became better. Being smaller gave them a ton of advantages. Some birds became nocturnal, allowing them to avoid daytime predators while also catching prey that was only active at night. Others became excellent flyers, soaring through the skies in search of fish or other prey. Birds, like falcons, dive-bomb their prey before snatching it in their sharp talons. Hawks have incredible eyesight, allowing them to spot prey from miles away. Owls can silently swoop down on their prey before it even realizes what happened. There are literally hundreds of ways to be a successful predator, and being small is just one of them. So while T-Rex was indeed an amazing hunter, it wasn't the best at everything. It was simply well-suited to its environment. And that environment changed over time. When the Cretaceous period began around 145 million years ago, T-Rex thrived. North America was mostly flat and covered in lush forests and swamps. Large herds of plant-eaters roamed around with little hiding places, meaning there were plenty of targets for a large, hard-hitting predator. But as the Cretaceous period progressed, the climate began to change. Mountains rose in western North America, splitting the continent in half and creating new habitats. Forests broke apart and dry. Open plains became more common. Plant-eaters migrated to South America and Asia, where more forests remained. And with them, they took their food source, which caused a collapse in the populations of local carnivores, including T-Rex. While it may have thrived earlier in the Cretaceous, by the end of the period, it was nothing more than a relic of a bygone era, a last hurrah of the dinosaurs. Its reign at the top of the food chain was over, and it wouldn't be replaced until the rise of mammals. It turns out that T-Rex was able to grow so large compared to other predatory dinosaurs due to a combination of factors. First, it was an ambush predator, so it didn't need to be agile to catch its prey. Second, it was opportunistic, meaning it didn't always have to expend energy killing its own food. And third, it lived in an environment with abundant food sources, meaning it didn't need to conserve energy to survive. In contrast, other predatory dinosaurs either had to be agile to hunt or were already perfectly adapted to their environments. T-Rex was a unique combination of size, behavior, and environment, which allowed it to grow so large. If any other dinosaur had the same combination, it too could have grown to gigantic proportions. But as far as we know, T-Rex was the only one. Now you know how T-Rex grew so large. But what about other dinosaurs? Why were some dinosaurs so massive while others stayed small?